educational satellite television programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson. In our last lesson, we learned about the Lamarckian theory of evolution. Today, we will talk about the Darwinian theory of evolution. Let us get started. Charles Darwin was an English scientist who lived in the 19th century. He is best known for his theories on evolution and natural selection. The research and findings that Darwin made are some of the most important information about evolution we know to this day. Darwin was not the first person to suggest that species slowly developed over a long period of time. French scientist Georges Buffon stated this idea first in the mid-1700s. His idea was followed by Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck, who theorized that species developed new traits from environmental influences. These new traits were inherited and led to the development of new species. Lamarck's famous example was the giraffe's long neck. He stated that it might have developed as they strained and lengthened their necks in order to reach high trees. Lamarck's idea of evolution was not accepted by many people because he did not have enough evidence to prove his theory. It was Charles Darwin who observed how this process of evolution happens over time. Darwin spent a great deal of time studying species and evolution on the Galapagos Islands. After his time on the islands, he published a book in 1859 called On the Origin of Species. The basics of Darwin's theory of evolution, or also known as Darwinism, was published in the book. It states that in a population, it is the stronger or faster members of the species that are more likely to survive. This method of surviving is called natural selection. Students, based on what we have learned so far, why do you think the strongest and the fastest members of a species are more likely to survive? Take a few minutes to write your answer down on a sheet of notebook paper.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. To answer the question, we could say that the strongest and fastest members of a species can survive because they are able to get away from their predators quicker and have the ability to find food faster. If an animal is strong, fast, and well adapted to its surroundings, the animal can live longer. The longer it can live, the more chance the animal has at producing offspring to carry on its traits. This begins to describe the process of natural selection. As defined, natural selection is the theory that explains the origin of species in terms of survival of those best adapted to a specific environment. Students, let us watch a video about natural selection.
Darwin's search to understand the laws of nature took shape as he studied the animals on the Galapagos Islands. Of special interest to him were the physical differences within a certain species. For example, the finches on the Galapagos had different shaped beaks. They varied according to the environments where the finches lived. Some had beaks that were hard and blunt, ideal for hammering open crab shells. Others had beaks that were more tapered and suited for hunting and pecking among rocks. The difference was puzzling. As Darwin analyzed it, he began thinking about how the struggle to survive was the driving force behind all life. If a species is to thrive in its environment, it has to evolve or perish. With this simple yet powerful insight, history was made. Darwin discovered the mechanism that made evolution work, the process of natural selection.
Welcome back, students. Natural selection enables the surviving species to pass on their genes to their offspring. Over millions of years, this causes the stronger, faster members of the species to evolve and grow. Darwin noticed the differences that exist in all animals. Traits like fur color, muscle structure, horn size, and intelligence are all things that affect the way the animal lives and survives. The animals that are better adapted to live in their environment, for example, a giraffe that is tall enough to eat from the tops of the trees, as opposed to one who can't reach that far, stand a better chance of surviving. The animals that can live the longest have the chance to produce more offspring who can carry their traits. This is where the term survival of the fittest was created. The members of a species that are stronger, smarter, and well adapted to their environment will live the longest. Students, can you think of a time where you have seen survival of the fittest happen in the environment? Write down your experience on a sheet of notebook paper.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. Were you able to think of an example? One that you may be familiar with is when a predator is chasing a herd of prey. For example, when a hyena is chasing a group of walia ibex. The smaller and slower ibex will likely be the prey of the hyena, since the predator will have a better chance at catching it. Over time, this process of natural selection creates lasting changes in the entire species. Because the stronger and fitter animals have a better chance of surviving and producing offspring, those traits eventually become dominant in the population. The improvement can eventually result in entirely new species, evolving from older ones that possessed weaker traits. This concludes our lesson for today, students. In this lesson, we were introduced to Charles Darwin and learned about the Darwinian theory of evolution. We also learned about the term natural selection. Until next lesson, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.